or Aquarium. How is it going, guys? Oh, we've already got plenty of people in here. We got Ken's 3D and Aquatics. What's up? Sky Dancer, First Class Fish. Fish and Floral. Patricia Lindsay, what's up? Moose, Filmin. Interesting. I like the name. Brian Levy, what's up? How's it going? Stephanie D. Alright, well, good to see y'all who are in here to start off the show. We'll see if we can get you something interesting to show, which is right here. This beautiful little lady. She has eggs that she laid. And she is a Tiana Acara, and the species is I always mess up the species name, but Candidii. So Tiana Acara Candidii, and I don't know why. Let's see if I've got a reason for this light. There we go. Okay, I was gonna say I don't need that light on. And I hope she's not eating the eggs. But in any case, so she looks absolutely beautiful. She's colored down a little bit since this afternoon when she laid the eggs. But the male is off elsewhere, which is interesting. And he's been hiding back behind the sponge filter. Now, I've never kept these cichlids before the last, I guess, 8 months that I've had them. And they're in here with pencilfish, Beckfordi pencilfish, and a few cobalt stiphodons, or stiphodon gobies, which are basically, like, not even there. Like, don't even think about them. But the males of the Beckfordi, there's a younger generation of male and females that are this size, and then there's the adults. And the adults, you can see the females are very full of eggs also, and then the males are very, very red, like mostly black and red. So what I was gonna hope to show you guys was not just her hiding out down here, and we'll get rid of the glare in a moment. But not just her, because she is lemon yellow with red on her dorsal fin, and then orange on her pectoral and pelvic fins. And then there's a male in here somewhere that is seems completely complacent to me over what's going on, which I think is odd for cichlids. Oh, Stephanie, you won the same cichlids? Right on. Yeah, they're really cool. I mean, so ideally they're supposed to be in very acidic water. They come from water as low as 3.5 to 4.0 with a very, very low TDS. Oh, there he is. He's actually up on this side. But these are living in around 6.5, so not super acidic or anything, but is slightly acidic. And then, you know, I decided the other day, because it's been over 6 months and they hadn't spawned, I decided the other day that I would toss in some botanicals. So I threw in a bunch of jackfruit leaves and one catappa almond leaf. And you can see that there's all these little snails. Like, we had an infestation of these snails due to probably overfeeding the tank, or duckweed dying and the duckweed signaling them that there was extra biomass. Also, these lilies tend to melt very quickly in a tank like this where the lily can grow, but I mean, there's only so much. It's a 20 long. And she is so acrobatic, but their mating rituals are unlike any I've ever seen as far as cichlids go. She kind of does this thing where she plays dead or floats onto her side, and then he'll do the same thing, and then she'll flick out of it and smash into him pretty hard. I am a little worried about the snail that I see. Like, there's a snail there on the leaf. Like, they cleaned most of them, and I think they know that they're keeping their babies safe by cleaning the leaves. But they're both actually really prone to leaving and going around elsewhere and looking at other things, just kind of inquisitively inspecting other things. But the female is the one who's definitely protecting the nest. So I'm going to tilt this up a little bit. And you know, I don't actually have a heater in this tank right now, which is interesting. I'm curious to know just how cold that tank is. Cold or warm that tank is, rather. Let's see here. I guess it's probably about 76 to 78. But you can see here that the fish actually get all the way in a weird sideways position. Like, the male is right now behind her, and he looks dead. He's like at an angle with his head being my fingernail. He's like right like this. And then, like, he's moving, and then oh, there he is. And he popped up the top. So there's a little bit of algae on here, and I apologize for that, but they like the algae. And his tail, it looks like a little firecracker or something. And he is probably the prettier fish out of the two most of the year, whereas she is very, very pretty when they're spawning. Yeah, Mick, you could be right. It could be that the male is just protecting the outer rim of things, whereas the female is protecting the clutch itself. But you can see here they don't lay a ton of eggs, or at least these ones didn't. Maybe 50, something like that. And here she is. I got some good pictures earlier when they were fully colored up. But they're sometimes called the black stripe or black line cichlid. And as per like angels and other fish like this, they'll clean the leaves all day. And then they'll also do, they'll fan them and aerate them. So we'll probably see her in just a moment here, since she has it. Yep, here we go. So she's aerating it with her pectoral fins to make sure that fungus isn't taking hold. And she'll do the same thing. See, she's shaking all her fins, if you guys can see that. And she's causing a current or circulation there. Now, one interesting thing to note is that out of this whole tank, I was worried that they were not going to spawn. And then I thought about it, and I was like, I bet it's because I have so many of those darn little snails, Malaysian trumpet snails, everywhere. So that's when I thought, well, I'll put some leaves in. And I didn't think that the snails would coat the leaves so well, but regardless, they seem to have picked off all the snails that were on the leaf over here. And that was a pretty good solution to getting around the snail issue, in that botanicals you can kind of suspend or float. A lot of times floating them in the water, people don't think that's like attractive as far as looking at the aquarium goes. But as far as, you know, habitat for the fish, it's pretty effective just to float the leaves until they start to sink. And, you know, here she is down here. She's kind of checking behind the leaf and paying attention. So what I was saying is frustrating is that I was trying to get my bettas and things to spawn. And, of course, the fish that I'm not at all focused on is the one that spawns during the same time period. Now, I am leaving. I'm leaving for the AGA in Chicago, basically tomorrow night at 3:30 a.m. We'll have to leave here, I think, and you know, then my flight is going to be at 6 o'clock. Board's at 5:30 a.m. So that is early. Sorry, the lens is getting fogged up. And so we'll be going to Chicago for AGA. So I'm really excited for that. And unfortunately, I mean, not unfortunately, but I will be coming back before Fishtoberfest starts because I need to go down to Portland, Oregon for Fishtoberfest because I'm speaking there as well. And it's kind of a crazy pinball game of travel as far as I'm coming, I start in Seattle, go to Florida, come home for a few days, for like not even a week, and then I all of a sudden pinball back down to Chicago. Then from Chicago, I pinball to Portland. Then from Portland, I go to Seattle. I might be going back to Florida, although the hurricane could be changing that plan. And then from there, back to Ohio with my wife for her dad's birthday. So, pretty crazy plans. And I have to thank all of you guys for supporting Alan, the crazy channel watcher that he is. Alan, I have to thank him for setting up the GoFundMe, because with medical bills and the fact that like my truck tires blew and I needed to get new ones, and it literally, there's the episode of Shanna visiting and the tire blows out. Yeah, I needed to get new tires, and even the cheapest ones ended up being around $1,000. So between that and all the medical bills I have right now, and then the teeth bills that I need to get finished, I just wouldn't be traveling if it weren't for being able to speak places. And so I am more than excited and happy and willing to speak anywhere that y'all would like to hear me speak. Speaking, I've got my talk that people seem to like the most out of the ones that I've done, which is the 10 most important moments in fish keeping history, going back 40,000 years into archaeology, and then coming all the way forward up into the advent of the internet. And then there's the 10 oldest fish in the hobby talk. There's also one on pigmentation and the genetics of pigment in shrimp and guppies and other fish, and how iridophores and shiny, sparkly, iridescent scales are different than say flat red color scales. And I think that people will enjoy hearing any one of those, but I am more than happy to follow the yellow brick road. Alex, you were just at Yellowstone. Yellowstone. That must be something that came up auto-corrected. If possible, put a camera on a tripod. Preset a timer to get shots of that corner of the tank. Yeah, maybe I should do that, Mick. I think that's a good idea. With the little cichlids. But again, we've got sorry, we've got these two doing their thing. We've got the male here, the big boy, and where's the female hiding? She was just right over there. She's real fat and plump too. So hopefully they'll spawn at some point. Also going on in the fish room is we've had another Caridina shrimp get pregnant, and tomorrow I'm getting I ordered one of the Aquatic Arts shrimp breeding starter boxes, where it comes with a bunch of botanicals and like a little sample of moss and some cholla wood. It's like a aquarium in a box, like bed in a box kind of thing. And I don't know, I think it'll be interesting to see what it comes equipped with, how much I get. Plus it has all these food samples and stuff like that. So we'll see. But I'll definitely be reviewing it and see if it's worth, you know, the extra couple bucks in order to get the breeder's pack, quote unquote, other than just the prices. But in here, of course, they're hiding now, and I can't get any of them to come forward. But we did have, come on, right now only a few straggler cherry Reillys or Rileys are hanging out. But in here we do have the mix of Caridina that Grant sent me from the Garden of Eater Shrimp. So I'm thinking I'm going to do another tank at this same 2.5 gallon size. Not the best size to breed for profit, but I do like that if you're starting with 10 shrimp, you can kind of keep track of the babies and everything really easy with a tank this size. Alright, let's see here. Where are they? I just saw the pregnant one a moment ago. Oh, here she is. Let's see if we can get her to come forward. So these are the Stardust ones. Come on. And they are a wild type. Even though they've got like a nice polar blue to them, and stripes and speckles, they're a wild type, which, go figure. I mean, there's some pretty crazy wild type shrimp out there these days that are finally entering the hobby, even though they've existed in the wild forever, obviously. But in this same tank, we also have some newly buried females too that I was looking for. Is that her? No, that's the same one. Well, we might have to just come back. I don't want to waste your time looking at swirling Swassertong. But yeah, it's an interesting tank in that they've also crossed these with the tangerine tigers that he sent. And then I put the tangerine tigers up above. But the crosses, that's what I was trying to show you. And they're back up in this moss, hiding like no one's business. Here we go. Come on. They're either blue or green, and then they have the same stripes as the more wild style. Okay, let's see here. So, here's a few of the shrimp. Here's one right here with the Stardust look. And then we've got another one, and this is one of the babies of the Stardust and Tangerine Tigers, where it's still got the markings and stuff. I guess it could also be from a cheetah, but Grant didn't think so. And then all the way back there, we've got the pregnant female that is lounging around. But they all seem to be wanting to stay out of the spotlight. Like they're all hiding pretty well. Let's bring her forward. Just because she has red eggs on her belly, which is really unusual. I've never seen red buried eggs. I know that probably happens, but I've never seen it. So, okay, let's see here. So not that one, that's the male. But right here, this female, and you can tell now how uncalibrated my camera is because she has red eggs to my eyesight. Whereas here they look kind of yellow or orange. Everything's washed out on these live streams, which is unfortunate. The other little mention that I wanted to make is that this longfin, he is still doing great, which is rad. He hasn't had any babies for me, but we're going to give that another go as winter creeps in. He's got those beautiful longfin morphs that I've never seen on a Somfong Rasbora, or honestly on any Rasbora. I've never seen fancy longfin Rasboras Only Danios you see the fancy fins. But look at that upper fin, it almost bends at the top like a high fin. So there's definitely something special about those genetics, and I'm hoping to be able to get some offspring and at least keep half of it. So the other thing I need to decide too is, am I taking anything to AGA, the Aquatic Gardeners Association, which is the semi-annual every 2 years. See, there's another one. This one has less color, but again, it's got stripes, and it's kind of an what do you call it? Not iridescent, but well, it's kind of a transparent color, and kind of an interesting little shrimp as far as the markings go. So I'm really interested to see how hardy those remain and everything. Also in here, the couple of, I only decided to keep a trio of the unknown, as it were, Apistogramma, and the rest I gave to a guy who owns a store in Seattle that I figured would do justice in trying to spawn them. So he got them. Now, one of the tanks that's kind of been frustrating, sorry guys, I know it's all shaky. One of the tanks that's been one of my frustrating tanks to take care of is this tank, because we've got cribs. I mean, it's mostly African stuff in this tank. And we've got cribs, we've got catfish, we've got the Petricola catfish. We've also got the blue lip cichlids, the buffalo head, blue lip buffalo heads. And all of it, everything in here is a bit nippy, or at least can withstand a bit of nippiness. In that also we have these cribs in here that are kind of tougher than your average crib, whereas a lot of cribs in the past I've bred for tranquility and calmness, peacefulness. These ones, one is a set of giant rock cribs, and then the other is a set of what used to be called Pelvicochromis tineatus, and then you would put the color morph or the location name, and that's, I guess, how they're being called now. But over here you can see the littler ones that are like the Nigerian potbelly, the red Nigerian ones. And I just can't help but think that there's got to be at least 1 or 2 batches of babies that they've tried to have by now. Or, yet again, it could be snails killing off the eggs. That's a very real possibility with how many snails are in this tank also. But in any case, I like looking at this one. These red rock, or the rock cribs, have more of a red in their cheeks and a big spade tail more so too. And they just look really, really pretty when they're ready to spawn. And so do the I think the Latin name I want to say is Ivan Stophis, but it's the one that is the blue chin or blue lip as they appear. I'm trying to find one where you can actually see the blue lip. And you guys have probably seen them colored up, and they're just not right now, which is probably just a seasonal or temperature thing, who knows. But I'm not going to get to see the blue lips right now. But yeah, so it's an interesting tank. Plus we've got the, we've still got some bettas in here. And we have some of the young Hoplochromis. Plus we have, what are they called? I was a sucker for them, and I got them at a fish club meeting where somebody had basically abandoned them. And the rest is history. I just kind of made them part of my own. The other tricky brood that I've been dealing with is the red the red ones. And these guys eat like freaking pigs. I mean, crazy amounts of food will be eaten by these guys. They'll eat all that. Those 10 fish just can eat an incredible amount. Let me turn the light on so you guys can see them. They'll eat more than this tank, that tank, and the tank down there combined in like 2 or 3 minutes. They're such voracious eaters. Grant eater. So I have a whole bunch of tours. Sorry guys, I'm getting close as I turn the lights on. I have a whole bunch of tour footage of Grant Eater's house too, and his incredible fish house. I mean, we're talking a 16,000 gallon pool, hot tubs, all sorts of bins everywhere, like almost 100 bins that are like 300 gallons each. It's a crazy amount of shrimp and fish and killifish and oddball animals and turtles, and they have this turtle there that I really fell in love with called the jeweled terrapin that you're not allowed to keep anymore if you didn't already have them in captivity, and they're like grandfather claused in, which is nice because he got them before that point. I wanted to show you guys also how good these fish look. So these guys are the ones I brought from outside, and these are the gold barbs. And they've been sitting without the light on in this room for a while, and they still look really, really nice. This is what you get with the sun tanning the fish, quote unquote, and also the diet getting richer with insects and protein and anthocyanins and athaptaskin and all the other things that they need to create the pigments in their body. They just have all of that in the form of insect larvae and stuff. Now this tank is really hurting since I left it, and what I'm gonna do in order to help this tank out, because it's just like on the edge of having some serious algae issues. The nitrates are 0 due to the plants and the HOB filtration and the deep substrate. But as you can see, the fish and just the fact that this used to have CO2 running on it and now it doesn't. Now you've got this deep layer of fishy, mushy mulm. And this fishy, mushy mulm of plants that are melting is really, really not good stuff in the long run for algae. Now, in the super long run, like a year or something, a lot of people want this. They want that soil look and stuff. But that's not what I was going for here. And with the amount of light so close to it, since this is such a short tank, it's such a shallow tank, we don't want this. So we want to get all this loose debris with a siphon or whatnot, but you can see how much there is. You want to get all those brown leaves and debris out of there, and the fish are just making it worse. But here you guys can probably see like the crypts are starting to melt, and that organic material is what's causing all the plants, even if they're not surrounded by this stuff, it's what's causing everything to melt. Is the fact that that's all breaking down and turning into like this sludgy stuff. And if not disturbed, it may not be a problem. But the other thing that happened was back here when I had Siamese algae eaters in here, they were eating everything down to the nub, including my Rotala H-Raw and other plants that are pretty delicate, and they do tend to want CO2. And the fact that I didn't re-up on the CO2 means that a lot of the different plants have just not done well. So you guys can see this buildup of this organic material. Now, so far, like I said, it's not impacting the nitrates, the nitrites, but I need to get all these dead leaves and debris and all this stuff out of here if I want to make sure not to have a big old algae spike in the near future, because it's almost inevitable when you have that stuff in your tank. It's not necessarily harmful. In fact, it's actually usually surface area that then becomes covered. See these plants even? They become covered in a fine layer of basically the same stuff like mulm that's on the bottom, and maybe a little bit of algae or a little bit of bacteria or fungi. And that then, see, you guys can see it here, that is what spurs a lot of growth of algae. If you have any phosphates or any nitrate increase in the future, it's just going to be like an algae time bomb, you know? So that's why I'm going to spend a few hours before I leave town just making sure to clear out as much as I can of this and do the water changes. And also, I'll probably scrub the rocks just for the sake of them being clear of all this gunk. You can see here that the dwarf hairgrass is doing okay, just for the sheer fact that the light is so intense on this Twin Star SA light. But if it had even a Fluval 3.0, I don't think it would be doing as well. And so it's trying to grow and it's trying to run, but it's looking pretty anemic. And that's all because it has low nitrates, for one, which is fine when you have CO2 and then you liquid dose in the water and you kind of have no nitrates, then maybe 20 or 30 parts per million for a day, and then none, and then 20 or 30 for a day. And so this is just really hard on all these plants, especially any of these little carpeting, like these baby tears and all this kind of stuff. And there's a mix of baby tears, Monte Carlo, and until I am back in town and able to run the CO2 and the timer of the lights and everything, I'm just hoping that if I clean most of this up, then I won't get a major algae outbreak. But even more than that, I don't want to lose all these beautiful cryptspiralis that are starting to melt as if they were brand new plants, and it's because of all this organic matter. And I would love to learn more. Maybe one of you guys is a biologist or something, and you could tell me more about the chemical makeup of what it is exactly in this that causes that melt. I know it's almost like a burn, the way it acts on those plants, but I'd love to know more detail. Now, another thing that's happened since I got back, well, this tank is just nutso overgrown. And I keep pushing it back, and then I keep getting duckweed and smaller floating plants filling in. But this water is crystal clear. The TDS has just plummeted. And there's only really a few tetras, and then there's my Malawa colony in there. And this tank, too, which had all the dead shrimp in it, it's pretty much rebounded with the deep substrate that it had. It's pretty much rebounded, even though the shrimp all died when I lost like over 300 shrimp to the heater. Everything else is pretty much back to normal. I'll probably try to reintroduce some of those shrimp, but I have been growing them next door in this tank, in this Sawassertong. There's a whole bunch of them hiding, who knows where, somewhere in there. And also, there's these least killifish, which is the world's smallest. Yeah, see, these guys ate, smallest live bear. These guys ate almost every little bit of all that food I put in there. And they're just ravenous. And I haven't been able to find a home for them at even a fraction of the pace that they are able to make babies at, which is unfortunate. So, yeah, here you go. You got the dad guarding the outer area, keeping these fish at bay. The mom guarding the inner area, and I think she's trying to keep the snails away, but I don't know for sure. Other than that, she's definitely trying to air the area. What's been interesting, though, is that she's been doing her dance to try to entice him. since these eggs have been here. And I don't know if that's because he never fertilized them and they're still not fertilized, or if it's just some, I highly doubt that, but, or if they just actually go through the motions of spawning longer than they need to in order to fertilize the eggs. It's kind of interesting. But yeah, all right, guys, I'm way behind in chat. Let me take a look at what you guys have to say. And my apologies if I missed what anybody was asking or saying. I got carried away just showing you guys, show and tell. Alex, I don't know about the mulm issue, but since that tank is transitioning from CO2 to none and adjusting, once it's cleared up and such, Tom Barr would say go no water change and dose 25% of EI, estimated index. Yeah, that's, I mean, what the water change that I'll do, because I'm siphoning, you know, or turkey bastering that debris up, the water change will just be a top off, you know, with my local water, which has a very, very low TDS of like anywhere from 20 to maybe 40 at the very highest. Sometimes it's as low though as like 7 or 8. It's wild. The other tank that's kind of in interesting shape right now, and I'm really bummed that I lost them during the heat spell, and I mentioned it, but they didn't die during the heat itself. What happened was they turned their heads turned black, like a midnight black to blue color, and then they started just looking very old. Like they looked like they had aged 20 years in several days. And that was the Lucanusi or Lucanzi, as some people say, but the beautiful, the blue-headed ones. And it's a bummer because I had those like over a year at that point. And when I looked in the tank, I mean, we've got very sensitive fish in the way of thread fins, and you've got thread fins which are susceptible to both temperature and lack of O2 and nitrates. And then we've got the Pseudomagil luminatus, which also can be kind of finicky. We've got a Panchax, orange chin Panchax killie. And so there's stuff that, you would expect to be very fragile compared to the cichlids, which you'd assume, like, maybe they're a little fragile, but you'd assume they'd be tough enough living in a river that they'd be fine. But that was not the case, and they didn't do well from the heat from the day that it got to like 104. From that day on, they just did poorly. But all the little Stiphodon gobies, too, they're doing great. There's still like 12 of them in here. And that's kind of an odd... I mean, it's kind of odd how well the Stiphodon or Stiphodon gobies have done in all my tanks. All these various aquatic arts wild-caught Stiphodons are... I mean, they've lived a really long time. There's a few that passed on relatively early, like maybe 6 months into having them, and that was when they would just get skinny and stop eating and stop moving much. And I think that must have been some sort of illness or parasite or virus that they would come in with that a few other people have noted on caring for gobies from the Pacific, like Stiphodons. And these guys, though, I mean, they're doing really good. I clear off the sand for them, but the females, these females are big. The males still are, they'll show off color and dance around, and, they're hiding all over under in here and wherever. But this tank, because it's got sand on it, I also try to spot clean with the turkey baster or whatnot, just to keep, so since it's not deep substrate, I don't really have room for layers of mulm to be stratifying. So when you step back and look at it, the layers of mulm don't really exist. There's just the one of sand, a little bit of gravel under that. So I really need to be taking out things like the algae chunks and then the poop, this stuff, you know, all this debris. Let me get a shot of that. This debris stuff that builds up after, you know, a couple feedings. You'll start to see the little curlicues and stuff. You know, snails really produce a lot of it too. They help break down stuff to a certain degree, and then they can't eat anymore. But you know, in my tanks where I do have a deeper substrate, like over in there, or this tank, for instance, this one's great at it. This one's great at it. Those ones can build up all the poo they want on the bottom. I love these little blue tetras. They're called purple tetras, but they're straight up cornflower blue. But you can see all the banding of the layers and things from the 6 or 7 years this tank has existed now. All these immersed plants now, all sorts of Ludwigia and other things, Hygrophila. And so I was debating cutting those. Last time, TSA was not too fond on that. They didn't really see eye to eye. They said, seems like the same as drugs to me as far as like being potential threat to, I guess, the airlines or whatever. And they just chucked everything that I had. And they asked if I wanted to keep it, but I would have had to figure something out like right then and there, and it wasn't worth the wait. So the few pieces that I brought, I just let them go. Now, I usually don't feed a whole lot of flake food, but I do feed it lightly when I'm getting ready to go out of town, and then I'll usually give them one big meal of live or frozen food, like right before I leave, and then nobody's gonna mess with giving them anything other than just the aquarium co-op fry food, and maybe in certain cases bloodworms. But of course, now I'm gonna have these babies, and I hope that they're gonna be in the form of sticky-headed fry that stick on that leaf for the first 5 days or so, and that they're not out and about, because in this tank, I don't know how much the Beckford eye pencilfish have eaten the little trace creatures and critters, or, you know, what's in there for food on a microscopic level. I just don't know. Let's see, what are y'all saying? Are parasites common in bettas? They can be. It just depends on where you get them. Mine is acting just fine, but I see no signs. But he's on the thin side. Well, it could also be a female. Sometimes they're just smaller and more petite. He eats 2 times a day. That's quite a bit. I mean, I have plenty of bettas that don't eat at all, like daily. They eat every few days. So let me show you guys real quick this setup, because I changed this around for you. And so this needs a big old trim for the angelfish. They're out of room, obviously. Every week they run out of room in this tank. And even if I trim a foot of the stem plants, they just need more room. And you know what I just realized? Oh, this is not attached to anything. I was going to say, we have a crypt, or a Ponegeton purple, I was going to say, from somewhere else, but this piece just broke off from the main plant. I was really hoping that it started from the flower that we had. That's a bummer. I really want to get more of those going. But we've got the betta breeding project. And, you know, they've been in here together now for, what, 4 or 5 days total, and I don't think they're going to spawn. I did the same trick with putting the catappa leaf in. Also kind of trying to shield them from the other fish with plants and things. That's why I didn't cut down this main hedge here. And it's not working. Like they went through the motions. He flared, and she kind of courted him and did all that. And then now they're just kind of back to being roommates, so to speak. So I don't think that's going to happen nor lead anywhere. But the other thing is, I culled all these blue shrimp, and I also used some no planaria, which I know is a bit controversial. This stuff here, I usually have it linked in the description, but it is made out of betel nut, and it literally went from hundreds of planaria in the substrate down here to none. And I kept the blue shrimp out of here while I did that, and I dosed it at night because it is UV reactive. And what I did notice is that there are a ton of sheds. There are a ton of exoskeleton sheds, right? If this will focus, right in here. And I thought, oh no, they're starting to die. But as far as I can tell so far, they're literally just shedding, probably because of the change of environment. There's still a lot of them. I haven't found any dead ones yet, or seen any pink ones yet, knock on wood. But the planaria are dead, so that's good news. Good news bears. And hopefully this tank will be generating quite a few blue dreams, in the fact that I got these from Grant Eater, and I mean, there's just so many blue dreams in here. I counted over 180 of them, and I've had them maybe 6 to 7 months, starting with 12, give or take. And look, I mean, they're just everywhere. So hopefully the no planaria has run its course now, broken down. And then one of my last to-dos is to clean this filter too. I'm going to use that filter media there, wring it out a little bit in some tank water. But then I'm going to take that and I'm going to fill a tank in here, because I have, like I said, Aquatic Arts is coming, or is sending, oh, you guys can't see anything, hold on. Sorry guys. Aquatic Arts is sending me a 10-pack of goldback shrimp to try out, and basically what I'm going to do is try to treat it like I'm new at shrimp keeping, as far as I'm going to start with those and the stuff that's in the pack, the food and everything that's in the pack, and see how many in like 6 months I can get breeding. And so I'm going to start with the small tank, see when they're pregnant, and then move them to a 10-gallon, the pregnant females, and move any babies over to. I think that's what I'm going to do. I want to try it out. Just a little something different than starting in a 10-gallon. Also, on the windowsill, the moss has sporulated, which is kind of cool. You can see its little crusty flower things. And then they're not flowers, but anyways. And then the hydrocotyl tripartita, the little petite Japanese moneywort, or pennywort as it's called, it's growing up and at 'em and out. And also the creeping Jenny, creeping Charlie is going up, way up in the windowsill, even though it's winter now. So this is just, just plants, just been kind of fun to watch. Although there are copepods, little various little scuds and stuff in there. And then the Rotala mini butterfly is always pretty cute. But Sundew's also doing well. And my experiment that's now going on 6 months, which was, I had one sundew that I planted and one that I left in a bag, and I have not opened the bag to add more water or anything. And this sundew is all scraggly and long, but there's kind of 2 of them now. There's like a mother plant and a daughter almost, that's the skinny daughter. Whereas this one pancaked out like they should in nature. And there's kind of 3 nodes, but they haven't grown up at all. So I just thought that was interesting. I wanted to see, with a plant that loves dew and like that has all these special little hairs and stuff for trapping the morning dew, I was just so curious how it would do. How it would do. Anybody? No? Okay. So yeah, that's kind of what's going on. I'm going to take a step out so I don't bug the wife while we chat and finish up this stream. But How's everybody feeling that's still sticking with me here? How's everybody doing? Let's see here. Love using my Shark Pro filters. Who's come in too? Who's snuck in here? Scatty Nona, right on. Zen Ginger, what's up? The Yeti, what's up, dude? Who else is snuck in? Chris Howell, what's up? Also, by the way, I am really, I was just there in Florida, and I'm really thinking about the people of Tampa Bay and the surrounding area. Man, it looks like that Hurricane Ian could be coming right for you guys. That would be the first in like 100 years that something like that has unfolded that way. And so I'm really thinking about you guys. And, I want to get back down there as soon as possible. The Venice Club had actually mentioned needing a speaker, and I was like, ooh, me, if you want to fly me down, I'll speak. I'll give a different speech than last time too. So yeah, again, if you guys didn't hear it last week, I'm also trying to kind of book up my year and ideally kind of put speeches in clusters. So like, maybe I can get a couple done in Florida in a 2-week period, or maybe I can, I don't know, that's long shot thinking, but maybe it would make it cheaper for some of the smaller clubs to team up and be able to ask me to come out. Also, I was kind of joking with Lawrence Kent, who many of you may have seen. He's just a crazy world exploring fish hobbyist, and he discovers new fish. I mean, he's a hobbyist. He doesn't have a degree in it, but he doesn't need one. I mean, he's just very impressive, very well, very knowledgeable guy. And, he's... He gives speeches about his travels and about what he did. His, like, oh, we did this, and then we got tied up and held ransom by Barbary Coast pirates, or whatever his crazy stories are, traveling to these dangerous places to look for fish, like the Congo and Rwanda and stuff. And he was saying, yeah, I want to go down to Florida and speak again too. I'd love to go fish collecting. And so I was like, well, we could do a tag team where you tell your story, and then the next 45 minutes I talk about the species and like their history naturally, or their evolution, or any interesting science that's been done about the genus and how they entered the hobby. And he's like, yeah, that sounds great. Don't know if he was just strictly humoring me or not, but then that kind of got in my head as, wow, that'd be kind of fun, where he talks about like, oh, here's a marmoret I caught in the Islamic Republic of Africa, or in Sudan. And then, I would be like, well, the Sudanese used to be part of the Egyptian empire, and later the Middle Eastern caliphates that ruled after Muhammad. And all that time they kept the marmoret genus sacred, and the Peter's eye elephant nose fish was seen as this sacred creature that no one was to eat. And recent archaeological, okay, so you guys get the idea, but it'd be kind of fun. Kevin Roseberg, thank you very much for the well wishes. So guys, I'm not gonna go super Discordia creates you're late. Oh, don't worry about it, it's all good. There's no such thing as late. And I don't think I said hi to Andrea Dingbats either, but hello. So I think I'm gonna wrap this up. Does anybody have any questions that they need help with though while I'm here? Any other issues? But I am just getting pretty tired. I was up early, and also Fishery is like half done. So for the members, who I always post those extra 4 episodes, I have the episodes picked out. 2 are recorded, and they're just not uploaded yet. So yeah, lots going on right now with planning to travel to Chicago, and then after that to Fishtoberfest, and you know, driving to one, not having a car at the other. It's just going to be all sorts of interesting. Um, for once, you can't think of anything, Discordia. All right, all right. And Zen Ginger says, join as a member. It's only $1.99, and it really helps out. Just gonna throw that out there. Help stock my 22-gallon project. It's 36 inches by 12 by 12. Love that long bookshelf style. I have an idea of using a very low bioload animals like even C125 in place of even pygmy cories. That's my first idea, but willing to hear anything. Cories could do okay, but the thing about a long tank like that is cories kind of like to go up and down, and in a tank that's only 12 inches deep, you're going to have substrate for probably 2 to 4 inches of that. So then they end up with maybe 8 inches or 7 inches to go up and down. And so sometimes they actually jump, which sounds weird, but they sometimes do. And but I think you could have a really cool tank if you did like, if you left it down a little bit from the rim and you did like half beaks, like golden rustling half beaks, which are prone to jumping also, but they don't jump that well when there's a lip in the way. Or you could do all pseudomcgill type fish on the top layer, and then you could maybe do like some daisies rice fish in the center layer, or and then like scarlet batis and black tiger batis, or red tiger batis on the lowest level, with some coolie loaches or something. Also, you could do pandagaras or panda loaches if you could afford it. There's so much fun stuff you could do with it. Yeah, I think that those are all. Batis are first on the list. Right on. Yeah. But yeah. Zen Ginger, member for 17 months. I bet it's longer than that. You probably had to renew your card or something. But thank you so very much for that, Zen. I really appreciate it. And I got to see you in person again. I feel like, you know, or, I mean, I got to see you in person, period. There's a lot of you that I need to see in person. And, you know, some I'll see at AGA, some I'll see at Fishtoberfest, but I really need to get out to one of those East Coast or center of the country events so I can meet some of y'all for real. Alright, guys. Well, I'm going to use a lid most likely. Oh, okay. Well, then, yeah, you can do whatever. Liver for dinner, George. Alright. Well, I hope that's tasty. Is that for the fish or you, or both? Craig, what's up? Funny, I'm flying to Jacksonville Wednesday. Time for a hurricane party. Yeah, they closed all the airports for Tuesday and Wednesday, I think, in Tampa, St. Pete. But man, I'm not kidding when I say I just want to get back down there. I think it'll be so much fun. I had such a good time. I need to go see the saltwater. I literally didn't go to any beaches, and so I feel like I didn't do the Florida thing right. Also, next time I see you guys, I'll probably be streaming from AGA, Aquatic Gardeners Association convention in Chicago. We might be eating a deep dish pizza with a few other people like Luke Wang and Alan Bauer, but who knows? Who knows? So thanks, guys, for hanging out and for listening to me ramble, update, and see the babies that are hopefully coming. I don't know if they'll survive, but this will give the parents at least a good practice run, and at least I know that they're able to, right? Dee Dee, what's going on? So, in any case, good to see you. Sorry I'm leaving, but thank you guys for being here. So many people have told me they're not getting alerts, or they've like it's unsubscribed or unfriended, so to speak, you from the channel. And so it might be something to check how your alerts are if you want them on. If you don't, then don't check. But yeah, a lot of people have mentioned that, and I've seen on my analytics just like steady, like I'll gain people, lose people, gain people, lose people, and for years it's been like this. And so something's being tweaked as they're trying to push those short content things. They really don't want the long content or the live content anymore, honestly. But I don't care about that. I want to do what y'all enjoy. But just throwing that out there though. All right, you guys. Thank you, Andrea, and thank you, Sky Dancer, Discordia, Ginger, all of you, Dee Dee, Craig. So good to see you. And I'll talk to you later. Jeff, you too. Have a wonderful evening, and I'll see you guys from Chicago. I'll do a stream, but also I'll be making videos while I'm there too. So yeah. Well, thank you so much, guys. Have a wonderful night, wonderful week. Take care of your critters and yourself. Much love. Talk to you later. Alex.